Good day, middle school math teachers of Temecula Valley Unified. This is Chris Shore, your math TOSA here at the district office, here to share with you the tips for the suggested use on the re-engagement units created surrounding the Smarter Balance practice test. Take about 8 to 10 minutes, show you how to access them and the suggested use for them. So you go to Blackboard, district website. I'm going to sign on to the intranet. Let it work as it logs me in. Scroll down where I access all the other curriculum resources available to me. By middle school, I go here 6-8, and then I choose math. Now, we know that all of these various courses, Math 6, Compacted 6, Math 7, Accelerated 7, and Compacted 7, will be on different paces through the curriculum, but we know you all get tested on the same content for any given grade level. So the same CASP Smarter Balance Practice test for that grade level is in each of the corresponding courses for the grade level. So let's say, let's just pick Accelerated 7. I'm going to look here and go into semester 2, which is where we're in now. And you'll notice that after all, and you can drop this in anywhere, but at the end of your units, there's now a unit CASP. And then there are these resources. I'm going to go through each one of their suggested use and how you may implement them in your classroom. So we'll see here, this is at the very end is the UPO. It's a one-pager, gives a kind of an overview of what the UPO is all about. Notice it says 1 week. Typically, it's about 4 days for this particular mini unit. Gives you the grade level clusters, so kind of summarize hopefully what we have taught the students this year. Clustered up the standards, and you'll see there was 24 to be taught in 7th grade. Even if you're accelerated and you taught the accelerated curriculum, hopefully the students have seen these 24 in your year and a prior year. Also notice in the standards list are the math practices, because we are to be teaching those throughout the year as well, and the kids will be tested on that. Over here, I've given links to all the documents I shared with you before, plus there's a link to Smarter Balance and to, that should say grade 7. We'll fix that, the grade 7 California framework. So that's that document there. And then that last one, that UPO, is for you. And it's not suggested to give to the kids, but from here on out, these documents are to share with the students. You'll see the overall claims, so for 3 through 8, moving towards college and career readiness. And here are the claims that the assessment will be based on. There's concepts and procedures, so yes, kids can do their algorithms, but they also understand the why behind it. Problem solving as well as modeling through data, so they see data sets or they have a real world problem and they can use mathematics to model it, solve complex problems. Those two claims are lumped together when they report it out. And then claim 3, communicating reasoning. Those are the things the students will be assessed on this test. I don't photocopy this, but I do post it on the screen and share with the kids up front what we've been working on all year and how they're going to be rolling into this come assessment time. Now come the other 4 documents, 2 of which you'll put in front of the kids. And I want to say up front that we call this a re-engagement unit for a very specific reason. It's not a reteaching or a review. Review tends to be simply that. We're going to go over stuff that we've done, and it looks very similar to what we've done before. These have been designed around what David Foster of the Silicon Valley Math Initiative calls re-engagement. In other words, we're going to open these up and we're going to see content that we have taught, but the kids are going to see it in ways that they may not have seen it before, because this is coming from the practice test adopted from Smarter Balance. It's not coming from our textbook or from our CIAs. So they might have seen some of these things here and there before, depending upon the experience they've had, but a large number of them are going to be a unique type of question. That's what we call re-engagement, and that's really where a lot of higher level learning occurs, is doing that. So it does it. It's for two reasons. One is to challenge the students to go back and re-engage with the material in a fresh way, but also these documents will help the teachers help us understand what it exactly is that the kids are expected to do and at what level. So the documents are very useful. It'll take approximately 4 days, as I've shared. And the first one here, this practice test, after you've taken a few minutes on day one to share the claims, then this practice test will take approximately 2 to 3 days, depending upon how fast your kids move through the problems. What it is the practice test, which was done online, and then the scoring guide is released. And that scoring guide's 30-something pages long. So this has been condensed. These are all the questions that are released on the Smarter Balance website, and we are encouraged to use this practice test. And they've been kind of condensed, that 34-some pages, into 12. So you see a lot of the calculator image is cleaned up. A lot of the graphs and things are cleaned up there, and so that we can fit more than one question a page. And you'll see a variety of problems. Some are just, it'll say enter, because that's what it says on a computer. You can just tell your kids to write, or they can check the boxes. And I would suggest, if you look at this, it's about 30 questions, give or take a couple, depending upon the grade level. And if you think your kids, how much can your kids get done in 20 minutes is really the question you want to ask yourself. And if that's typically 10, then this is going to take you about 3 days to complete. And if it's 15, then you can get done in 2. And the reason I say that is I suggest that you give the kids individual time, like they're going to have on the assessment, and give them about 20 minutes to just wrestle with a subset of these questions. And then give them another 20 minutes in groups of 4 to share their ideas and talk about that. And then the last 20 minutes, while the kids are working both individually and groups, you're working the room and you're making note of those 10 to 15 problems, which ones are giving them the most grief. And then you can do a public discussion at the board and reinforce anything that may have been missed, either through the current year, or maybe if it was a long stretch and they haven't seen something since last year, it's your opportunity to refresh their memory on that. So that's how I would use this particular document. And then the scoring guide here, this is where the problems came from. This is actually a Smarter Balance guide. It's, like I said, some 30-something questions. And here's about the practice test and the scoring guide. There's an extra page inserted that I created. So that's for your use. This is an answer key, basically. What I did was, if you go to any of these questions here, so here's question number 1. You'll notice it's question number 1 on the practice test in the document we just shared. And at the top is for your use. Number 1, what claim is this? What domain, target, DOK, the math content, and if there's any math practice tied to this. And then at the bottom, there is a key. So I've taken all of this information up here, plus the answer, and I've put it all in one handy-duty place, so you can do a quick check. It also is nice to look at and see how many of these are claim 1, 2, 3, and 4, which standards are hit predominantly, where we see the math practices being tied in. And then you'll see the answer key for number 2, the number is 45. Number 1, they're not actually labeled A, B, C, D. There's just 4 boxes. If they have to click the first one, I said A. If they click the second and the fourth one, then I say B, D. True, false answers here. If anything was too large because it was a diagram, it just tells you go to number 22 in the scoring guide. Find that there. So that's there for you for quick reference. You can put up just portions of it. So the first 10 here for the kids, let them check their work, and then you go and make any corrections you see fit. And like I said, you do that for 2 to 3 days. It's mostly your work is just going around making sure the kids are completing the problems. Don't let any of them slack, and making note of where their trouble spots are. Then on the 4th day, I would give them this. So this is the performance task. Again, the scoring guide was pared down. This is now only 3 pages. And those 3 pages are 5 questions that all deal with this performance task. So there's some reading. There's typically a diagram. Hopefully we've given the kids questions like this throughout the year. And then they will have 5 prompts. Again, I would give them 20 minutes to work on it individually, 20 minutes in their groups of 4, and then I would go around and make note of what the issues were, and then do a public discourse of those on the board for there. And then you'll see the scoring guide here for that, the problems up front, and what they give in this scoring guide is an exemplar. So they tell you, hey, kid that really knocks it out of the park, here's that information again. But there's a commentary, rationale for the content. And if you scroll all the way down, rationale for the claim. And then if you scroll all the way down at the end, they give exemplars. So, hey, if your kids were doing really well, here's what a 2 would score out of 2. What a 2 would score out of 2. So a complete answer and a good explanation. What would that look like? So all that's there for you. And so have at it. Like I said, 3 to 4 days. If your kids take a little more time, then you can go a full week. I believe it's enormously useful for them just in general, as well as informing us as to where they are and what their progress is, and helping us teachers understand what we're supposed to be teaching. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email, cshore@tVUSD, and hope you find these useful.